Well, here she comes. She has no idea that that's her car. Hey, what's going on? Matt, Ange, for those of you that don't know us. Just gonna do a quick video. We've got heaps of friends in Italy, America, and also interstate. Keep getting asked about, well, I keep getting asked about the whole story about this, and it's taking forever to explain it to everyone. So it started years ago when I was building my drag car. She became increasingly interested in all things racing. I've always had cars and they were sort of a going concern, you know, they just needed maintenance here and there. So I had this idea in my head that I would build her something. I wanted to do something that was relatively maintenance free, easy, LS based, so she could just basically go out, rip it and have fun. So here we are. I found a car about probably 2 years ago now that I was pretty keen on, but ended up not going ahead with it because I ended up with that. This car was, it came about off a mate. We were at a work conference about a year ago now, just over a year ago, and I was talking about my car, he was talking about his car, so I started stirring him up, asking him to sell it to me. And he called me about 3 days after the conference or a week after the conference, and he's basically said, look, you've convinced me, I'm going to sell it. And at that point I was kind of like, dude, I was only messing with you. Like, I'm not serious. But out of curiosity, what do you want for it? Gave me a price as a roller and as basically how he had it. I opted to buy it as a roller, and the motor ended up coming over with the car, which is another story. So we settled on a price early January, late January, I think.
Don't look at me. I had no idea.
I think it was late January, early Feb. And so Ange didn't notice the money going missing. We came to an agreement where I just give him, you know, a bit of money here and there and made it sort of disappear without anyone being none the wiser.
It worked.
It worked.
I am very, very sneaky, sir.
I see that. So that brings us to me owning a Tirana and it living in Sydney for the following 5 or 6 months. The car actually didn't get to Perth till August. The reason for that was Jim wouldn't let it go in non-enclosed transport, which I can completely appreciate. I'd be the same with my cars. And enclosed transport from Sydney to Western Australia, for anybody that's friends and family that are in America or Italy, that's 4,000 kilometers or 2,500 miles, so it's a fair old distance. You basically got two options. It can come by train or it can come by truck. If it comes by train, if it's a non-runner, which this was a runner, but being the nature of the motor that was in it, it was an SB2 that was on race fuel, it was rowdy, we wouldn't have wanted anyone starting it, so it probably would have got loaded by a forklift, which nobody wants. And then the other option is to bring it across by a truck. Now, to do it in a cost-effective manner, it would have had to come across non-enclosed. To come across enclosed, it's about $6,500 to $7,000 one way. I couldn't hide that. Like, that would have been a pretty big expense to hide. So the battle was on. Everybody was sort of on the lookout for me, had their ear to the ground to see if we could get it across, and we managed to get it across when some friends went over to Sydney to race for Kenda. Kind of got lucky there with Ned being unlucky because he hurt his car before it went over, so we took his spot on the truck, which worked out mint. So the car was here, so it was a mad rush. 5 months before our anniversary, which is actually today. Yeah, you go us.
I didn't get him anything.
Yeah, she didn't get anything. So it was a mad rush to get it done for the anniversary. So it all couldn't have happened without Ned, Lundy, Jeff, Johnny, Lauren as well for her support, and everybody else that was just keeping me sane the whole time. Like, I almost broke. I almost caved so many times and just told her felt like I was cheating on my wife with her anniversary present. It was pretty bad. Like, a lot of lost sleep, a lot of stress. I'm pretty sure I'm more bald now than I was when I started, and I've also got grey hairs, but you know, that's life. So yeah, the car got done. It was Motor out. What did we do to it? New motor, Holly EFI, kept the transmission, changed the bonnet, new converter, 2 sets of diff gears, which is a funny story. That was a good time. New wheels, tyres, suspension, modified the roll cage, ended up with CO2, cold fire suppression. I'll do a walk around of the car later on. It came out really, really well. So massive thanks to those guys, primarily Ned and Lundy. I'm pretty sure Lundy almost died doing this car with the stress, but it wouldn't have been done without those guys and everybody that was involved. So really do appreciate what those guys did for me, and obviously Ange. So yeah, it came across August, we pulled it apart. I made an excuse to go down there and pull the motor out and sit the LS in there. It's rods and pistons combo, ported LSA blower, made 780 horsepower at the hubs, I think. Car weighs 2360 or 2380 off the top of my head without a driver, so it's potentially a quick little car. It's rowdy, it's open-headed, just very cool, and easy to drive, I hope. I don't know,
far.
it scares me. So yeah, that's basically it. We managed to get it done for the big reveal at a Fast Friday, and everybody came down and supported me and congratulated her, and we all cried. She cried, I cried,
Lauren cried.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good time. And here we are. Just thought we'd tell the story about it. It's a cool little car. Should hopefully run mid to low 8s once it's dialed in and she's confident and I'm confident she's, not going to hit a wall or something like that. But so a lot of people have been asking, like, how did she not find out? I don't know. Probably a very trusting relationship, but there was a couple of times where it got pretty close. Couple of little fibs in there.
And playing with fire a few times, I've heard.
Yeah, definitely playing with fire. I got a little bit cocky at times where, I'd be working on the car or something like that. At one point we were pulling a diff out and I'd send a Snapchat to her of another friend laying under the car. She didn't know what car it was, and all she knew was I was playing with cars. Like, just dumb stuff like that. So I didn't build the car, obviously. I helped out here and there, but it wasn't... it's probably one of my biggest regrets with it is not being more involved with the car. But if I was more involved with the car, it definitely wouldn't have turned out as well as what it did. The guys that built it, it's what they do for a living. They build race cars. So, it came out mint.
It would have been hard as well because we do a lot of stuff together, and when it comes to him working on his cars, I've been a part of that as well, whether it's sanding down panels, and we've stripped a full car together as well.
Pulling motors out, fitting parts. In other words, we're pretty go-dependent. We're joined at the hip, so if I go somewhere, she's generally right beside me. So it would have been difficult, especially... It would have been easier if my car was at Ned's, but Lauren had it at her workshop doing a heap of fab work to it, and then it came home to me. So I didn't have that excuse to go down and work on it and get away and actually work on that, which made it difficult as well. So, the guys they did what they did, and yeah, came out fantastic. There were times where, I'm ordering parts and stuff like that, and even I had a false charge come through from one of the suppliers that we use that popped up
it's
through...
Like 2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning, yeah. And she's like, what were you doing last night? And I was like, oh, nothing.
What excuse can I make?
Just stuff like that, couple of times.
I think you actually said that it was a charge that came through.
Like a wrong charge or something like that. I can't remember now.
I don't know.
I was scrambling so many lies there at some point of my life, like just making up stories so it kept on going along, and she was still none the wiser. we actually ended up asking her, you know,
This was after the car got here.
yeah, this was after the car got here, and it was basically ready like a month or two before I gave it to her. I was like, do you want to drive a drag car? And she's like, whatever, you know, I'll give it a go. So came up with the story that there's a Sydney car in Perth that the guys are doing a heap of work to, turning it into a radial car. A guy's building it for his wife as a surprise, I think I said. I can't remember now if it was... Or if
No,
he
he did
just
say for a
building it.
surprise, but he was just building it for his wife.
Yep, so that wasn't a lie. They needed to get some data for it, so they said that you could, you know, have a bit of a play in it and see what you think. Then there was a couple of other things.
I was even going back to the very start, part of the conversations when Matt was pulling the mickey out of Jim about the car. So, and even again this year, actually, right before we had another conference at the start of this year, he did it again as we were leaving. Sell me your car.
I was chatting to Jim. I was like, when are you going to sell me that Tirana? And he kind of just looked at me and walked off and started laughing. And she was still none the wiser. And that's when I was starting to get a little bit cocky because I knew it was coming. There was a couple of times as well where I had a really bad day and I was down in the dumps or stressed out or something where I was emotional and just wanted to tell her as well, which was, you know, that was hard not doing it, and God, I came close a couple of times. But I had some good friends that were sort of telling me I was doing the right thing, cheering me on all about it, and just, you know, supporting me the whole way through it. You know, there's probably some people here that are thinking, what's wrong with you? You know, like, I'd love to do that for my wife or something like that. And here you are saying it was hard, it was difficult. And until you're in that situation, it's pretty scary. It's daunting, you know. It's a big deal to keep something that long and, you know, something this cool from the person that literally knows everything about you. So, yeah, it was difficult. I would never do it again. I wouldn't even suggest to any of you to do it for your partner, because it's just, you've got to be pretty strong-willed, I think, to push yourself through it. And I'm very stubborn as well, so that's another reason why I think it all sort of happened.
It also makes it difficult when it's a 10-year anniversary for the next year or 10 years after that. Set the bar pretty high.
That's your anniversary presents for the next 30 years. So I bought the car sight unseen. I bought it off of a handful of photos. I'll throw some up. Like, this is all I saw of the car, and it looked good in photos, but as you all know, anything can look good in a photo. I trusted Jim. He's a no bullcrap kind of guy. He will tell it how it is. So I knew it would be a good thing, but until you actually physically see the car, you have that doubt. So there's one part you're going to notice on this which is gone, and I hate the fact that it's gone because I really like it and everybody hates it, and that's the bonnet.
Sorry, Jim. I don't like it.
No one likes it. I don't think Jim likes it, but it's got this like Pro Stock. I had this old Pro Stock bonnet on there, and she wouldn't have been able to see over the bonnet. She struggled with the 4-inch
struggle
cow.
now.
It just looked cool. Like, I appreciate that it's of a bygone era, that, you know, back 10, 15 years ago, it was cool. It was, you know, what a cow is today, but I miss it. We still got the bonnet, so it might come back just for a...
No,
just
not for me. I'll let you drive it.
So when we were building this car and I was discussing a heap of stuff with Jeff, I had some stipulations there where basically I wanted to wrap her up in bubble wrap and throw her off a 10-foot or 10-story building. So I needed, I guess, sensors for the datas, for the bleep loops, so she could be safe. So Y&G sensors, so if she gets a little bit bent out of shape down the track, it will deploy the chute for her. She's got CO2 chute release on the steering wheel, so she doesn't have to pull her hands off the steering wheel. CO2 shifted as well. I've also got wheel speed sensors, drive shaft speed sensors, there's shock sensors going in it, there's laser ride height, just a lot of good stuff in there to keep her safe. I know chances are she probably won't need it, but I wanted it in there, I guess, more so for my peace of mind. That's another reason why the funny car hoop went in as well. just so she was, I guess, safer, just in case something bad does happen.
Touch wood.
Touch wood, nothing does, but you know, you sort of got to be prepared for the worst. So they all went in, which is very cool. It was a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I guess when you're doing it, it is a lot, especially if you're the people that are doing the nuts and bolts. It's easy for me to sit back and say that there's not much there, but there is a lot there. So that kind of brings us to the big reveal, which was a Friday night. I was hoping to get a test in tune, but there weren't any coming up. Well, there is actually one next month, but it would have been too late. So ended up getting down there on a fast Friday. Ned made a couple of hits first, just to see what the car would do. It rattled the tyres a couple of times.
Definitely felt nervous about that. The first time was obviously the worst of it.
Muscle tears the track to pieces. Just backs it off across the stripe, around about 1,000 foot past there, a little bit too.
And then Jeff did some tweaking, and by the third pass it was straight.
Yeah, got down pretty well. .622 reaction time, backs it out just on the... And that's all we needed. She wasn't going to be going out breaking any records straight up.
Broke my own record.
She broke her own record. We actually went down the Wednesday before. We took the X-Trail down and raced that, which was kind of fun. And it was just sort of to take the nerves out of it. She could, I guess, she knew what the tree was doing. She knew where to go, where to drive, all that sort of stuff. And like, I don't know how many times we took that car down the track. It was
so much fun.
Concentration is real. Go, Bo, go.
So they got me sitting in the car. Lundy was there going through everything I need to do, buttons and gears and whatnot. And someone came over and said, you've got to get going, because that night there was actually a thunderstorm that came through. So it was 5-minute debrief, get ready, get going. Lundy jumped in, not quite the passenger seat, no seat in there, but Lundy jumped in and went down the lane with me, got me going. Went through, did my burnout, which I think was my little naughty boy.
Little naughty boy. So we call burnouts naughty boys. I don't know where it came from. I think I did a shed skid once, and that's where it came from. So if you ever hear us referring to a naughty boy, that's just a burnout.
Just a burnout. So I did that, staged up, and went down. How was it? 13.5? Yeah, 13.50.
Well, here she comes. She has no idea that that's her car. Come on, do your naughty boy.
I went through, came all the way back, and everyone's following me back there. Didn't think much of it. Jumped out, and Matt decided that was it. It's mine. Now the proud owner of a Tirana.
Yellow Tirana.
Which, leading up to it, he was showing me Tiranas, and let me say, they were disgusting.
I'm like, yeah, what do you reckon about this Tirana? She's like, that's gross. And I'm like, oh my god.
I think they were 4 doors, and they were like the
they
big
had
flares.
on them.
Not a
which
fan.
is fair enough.
Sorry if you've got one, anyone, but don't like them.
No, they were, yeah, that was a bit demoralising every time you're like, nah, I don't like Tiranas. And I'm like, cool. That's, yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
I like this one.
Yeah, thank God. So yeah, that was it. The Motorplex was actually really cool. They knew what was going on, so when the storm sort of started rolling in, they came up to Lundy or Ned and they were like, look, it's either now or never. You need to get her in that car and get her down so you can do it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So yeah, that was pretty cool of them. They could have just cut it then and there, but they didn't. They gave us a chance to do it, which was mint. And then yeah, she did what she had to do. Came back. I gave her 2 presents. I had like a sticker made up for the window, which ended up not fitting. It was too big. And also a number plate made up, so I gave them to her, and she was like, "Yeah, cool. What the hell is this for?
What am I gonna do with this? Put it on the X-Trail? I don't know."
And then told her that the car was hers. So here's the footage for that, which was pretty wild. So that's how she ended up with a Tirana. I ended up bald and grey haired, and we're sitting here now talking in a camera, telling the story about it. She would like to keep you updated on how things go, so we'll probably keep these videos rolling through. People can follow her journey on how to become a race car driver, and me probably wishing I was going grey, wishing I was a race car driver. We'll do a quick walk around of the car now just so you can see it, but thanks to everyone that made this happen. It means a lot to us, especially me doing it for her. You guys are the real MVPs, so thank you.
Thanks everyone, really appreciate it.
So here's the banana Tirana. So bullhorn out the front, intake through the headlight, pretty wild little car. I'll whip the bonnet off later on. I'll wait a minute and show you guys. We changed the wheels from Welds to Billet Specialties just because they're a lot nicer. Just change the look up, get a little bit of black in there as well. Basically, as you see it now, minus the bonnet is how it was, and the wheels. When we got it, the wing was already on there. Obviously, the chute was already on there. This is fiberglass hatch, fiberglass doors, fiberglass guards, fiberglass bonnet and bumpers. We did the parachute there rolled up on the ground. Motion Raceworks Operator Series shifter, which was a gift from Nedley. Funny car hoop, CO2 bottle, the cold fire over there. We changed the factory steering column to a Motion Raceworks column. This actually had a genuine SS Tirana dash in it, which, you know, we did the right thing and we pulled it out and put a Mako Motorsports one in with the Holly E5 dash. The electro digital bleep bloops are all tucked away in here and down here, which was from Johnny. New seat, had jazz seats in it before, but we put an OMP seat in it just for a bit of comfort. Cup holders, of course, because you need those luxuries in life. there is a floor mat down there so she doesn't scratch her helmet, because that's a massive priority, not scratching the helmet. Got to look good when you're racing, isn't that right?
Yep.
Aside from that, everything else was pretty much the same. It's a ladder bar car. I can't actually show you underneath because it'll be dark and I can't be bothered rolling around on the ground. I'll whip the bonnet off. We can have a look at the goodies in there. So here is the LS3 with an LSA blower, ice tank for the blower, Lundy's work of art headers, for any LS guys out there that you hate changing spark plugs. Read it and weep, look how easy they are to change.
Can confirm, I changed them all myself.
I remember my first spark plug change. Got it, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, a real man helped me, Lundy helped me out.
It's fair. Someone that knew what they were doing helped you. What else did we do? It is mid-plated. It was front-plated before, so Lundy made up some cool little engine mounts here at the front because blower drive got in the way of doing a front plate for it. New radiator, brushless fan. Yeah, did an awesome job. It's borderline show car quality under here. So yeah, they did really well. The intake through the headlight was a very cool touch. I'm a huge fan of that. It just looks menacing. That's about it really. That's basically the Tirana. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my pyjama shorts on.